You ever notice that moment when you start something, maybe a project, or even just a text message, and suddenly your mind whispers that you're probably doing it wrong? Not loudly, just softly, almost politely. You feel that tension tighten in your chest, but you can't quite name it. It's a small hesitation. A pause that feels like caution. Except it's not caution. There's a kind of unease you carry that no one else seems to mention, a subtle questioning that sometimes lingers all day. And yet, it's not random. There's a rhythm to it, a pattern that shapes how you move through even the smallest choices. Most people notice it, glance past it, and keep walking. But there is a deeper pattern here, and most never notice it. I remember a Tuesday morning, sitting with coffee, staring at an email I had to send. My fingers hovered, not because I didn't know what to write, but because somewhere in me, a voice murmured that it might not be good enough. I tried to ignore it, tried to push forward. Then I caught myself, watching the hesitation itself, wondering why it had so much power over a simple message. Psychology reveals that these moments, these tiny interruptions, are not random, they're reflections of patterns that shape your life. The mind isn't just processing tasks, it's constantly running internal evaluations, weighing worth, predicting judgment, and sometimes, it misfires. In the grocery store line, I've noticed people standing too long with items in their cart, glancing around, checking prices, or second-guessing if they really need something. I've done it myself, lingering at a display, imagining the cashier noticing my indecision. These cognitive patterns sneak into ordinary life, unnoticed. They don't announce themselves with alarms or lights. Instead, they whisper. They poke at you quietly, nudging you toward self-questioning. And that whisper often carries more weight than the reality of the choice itself. Most of us imagine self-doubt as a rare interruption, a shadow that crosses us during big decisions. But what if it's not rare at all? What if it is, in fact, the invisible backdrop of almost every choice we make? I remember meeting someone once, a friend, who always seemed confident, and I realized they experienced doubt too, just differently. Their patterns were less visible, more contained. But the undercurrent was the same. It made me wonder, is self-doubt really a flaw, or is it simply part of human behavior we fail to understand? Sometimes, I catch myself hesitating before sending a text, not from fear of consequences, but from a quiet voice that questions my tone, my intent, my worthiness. I realized later that the hesitation was never about the text. It was about me, and the subtle signals my brain had been sending for years. Researchers suggest that these signals are often emotional triggers, echoes of past patterns interacting with present decisions. They're not errors, they're reflections of how experience, expectation, and perception intertwine. And yet, they feel invisible, as if they are only mine. I've watched people at work, waiting to contribute in meetings, their ideas forming perfectly in thought, only to vanish before being spoken. Their internal dialogue rehearses rejection before anyone has responded. The interesting thing is, this isn't laziness or insecurity alone. It's a pattern, a layered system of judgments and anticipation. It's a subtle kind of foresight that sometimes protects, sometimes traps. And as I watch it, I can't help but notice the strange relief in finally recognizing it, even in myself. The mind, in its quiet architecture, is always running these silent scripts, guiding behavior in ways we rarely name aloud. And here's the subtle contradiction. Self-doubt often comes disguised as prudence. We think it's caution, carefulness, a responsible pause. But it can also be a signal of internal conflict, a reflection of unexamined beliefs about who we are and what we deserve. Sometimes I question my own past decisions through this lens, realizing that many of my hesitations were not situational, but emotional. That insight doesn't simplify choice, it deepens it. It makes me wonder, in moments of quiet reflection, how many decisions I've deferred to this invisible weight, and how many I've acted on because I finally noticed it. Most people think self-doubt is a weakness, a private flaw, but when I observe human behavior closely, I see it as a constant companion, quietly shaping paths, nudging, redirecting. We rarely notice its consistency because it blends with thought, with expectation, with everyday life. And yet, the effect is profound. It lingers in pauses, in unsent messages, in words swallowed before they reach air. It shapes patterns in ways subtle but enduring, sculpting choices without overt declaration. If you pause right now, you might hear it, the whisper in your own mind. Subtle, unyielding. What is it really asking of you? Is it warning? Is it guiding? Or is it merely echoing patterns your brain has carried for years, shaping who you feel you are in the quietest moments? Most of us live alongside these whispers without conscious awareness. I've realized that noticing them is not about overcoming, but about observing. And that observation opens unexpected clarity. And just as I was beginning to trace these threads in my own life, I caught a fleeting recognition, the moments of hesitation, the small doubts, the invisible judgments. They're not mistakes. They're signals, subtle, layered, almost poetic. And in that realization, I understood something I hadn't before. The mind is not always a tool of certainty. Sometimes it's a mirror, reflecting hidden tensions that define the contours of our choices long before we speak or act. And then there's the quiet irony of noticing it in others before ourselves. Watching someone hesitate over an email, a text, a comment in a meeting, it's easy to see the patterns, the microsignals, the subtle pauses, the half-formed self-criticism. Yet, when reflection turns inward, we treat it as an anomaly. Why is it easier to see doubt outside ourselves than inside? Inside, it feels personal, almost intimate, a shadow in the corners of thought resisting being named. I recall a conversation with a colleague over coffee. He mentioned delaying a project, not out of procrastination, but because he wasn't sure it was worth it. The phrasing caught me. Not fear, not laziness, just a quiet evaluation of worth. And I remembered myself, months before, trapped in similar hesitation. That recognition, seeing patterns echo between lives, made me realize how universal these cognitive patterns are. They aren't quirks. They're frameworks, scaffolding how we move, pause, decide, and retreat. And yet, it's not always visible. We cloak doubt in busyness, over preparation, or humor. I've done this repeatedly, thinking action disguised insecurity. But researchers suggest these emotional triggers are more persistent than behavior can hide. They operate under the surface, guiding choices in ways that feel natural, even inevitable. Sometimes I wonder if I've truly acted outside them, or if the illusion of spontaneity is itself a product of the same patterns. Consider a friend deciding whether to speak up in a group. The moment arrives, the thought forms, and suddenly they hesitate. I've watched this countless times, and I've watched myself rehearsing words, imagining judgment, questioning tone, timing, relevance. In reflection, it's easy to mistake this for indecision or lack of courage. But what if hesitation is less about action, more about internal negotiation? The mind calibrates itself, sifting layers of expectation, memory, and self-perception. These patterns can feel cinematic. A minor choice, like sending a text, mirrors larger emotional scripts: fear of rejection, desire for acceptance, subtle tracking of imagined consequences. Each moment carries a miniature echo of past hesitations, and when we notice it, we feel vulnerable. Vulnerability here is just a signal, the mind nudging you to observe thinking. Most people think they've moved past doubt once they act. But even after a decision, there's a lingering awareness subtly informing the next choice. It's like walking through a familiar room and sensing a draft. You never noticed a subtle signal shaping movement. I've caught myself evaluating not only choices, but my evaluation of choices, an endless loop never resolving neatly. Sometimes, I question myself, was that hesitation real, or a learned expectation of caution? Was I doubting, or merely echoing years of internalized patterns? These reflections aren't conclusions, just observations. They live in pauses, micro-decisions, and invisible scaffolding of thought. Perhaps the most curious thing is how deeply self-doubt connects to our sense of self. It's not always a warning or limitation. Sometimes it is a lens through which we experience the world. Subtle yet persistent. We see reflections in decisions, feel past experiences, in hesitations, and in that quiet space, recognize a rhythm uniquely human. I notice it in fleeting moments, when a glance, a gesture, or a choice suddenly feels charged with internal dialogue I hadn't named. After reflection, I sometimes stop and watch. Watching the mind negotiate with itself, observing patterns, shaping behavior, I notice the beauty and subtlety. Self-doubt is not a flaw to erase. It's a companion, an unspoken observer asking nothing but presence. Life offers no tidy answers, just observation, and the chance to witness the architecture of our cognition. When the video ends, the reflection continues. Maybe in your next pause, your next hesitation, you'll sense the same pattern I've traced. Maybe you'll notice the whisper, the invisible scaffold, the quiet dialogue guiding choices. There is no